What is the most disturbing fetish someone had that you know? There was a judge in England called Rayner Goddard, who used to ejaculate involuntarily when he sentenced someone to death. He became a judge in 1932 and his clerk was on record as saying that a spare pair of trousers were brought into court for when he was passing a death sentence. Worked with an investment banker who is attracted to homeless women with drug problems. He would actively frequent bad areas to pick up these types. Never married, doesn't do long-term relationships, just like stating homeless addicts. He does genuinely care about them, but once they don't need his support he moves on. Often talks about how great his exes are doing. Oddly wholesome. While I was an undergraduate at a Bay Area UC, I was friends with a couple who were secretly into Holocaust roleplay, complete with a ragged striped pajama and yellow star patch for her, and a neatly pressed SS uniform and Totenkopf hat for him. They were a part of an artsy weird kid group that mostly comprised of Jewish, Pox, and LGBTQ people, so them doing this for a kink was rather controversial and added to the thrill. When they broke up after a year or so of dating, the guy used a hypodermic needle to draw out some of his own blood, spray it into a steel brazier with some ethanol, and lit it on fire, stating that was the part of me that loved her. She went on to found an urban circus in a nearby city, and he sadly passed of a heroin overdose about 5 years ago. This is nothing compared to what I've read here, and I'm not even sure it counts. But once, an ex was sexing me and he said, "What if I were fucking you and your dad walked in and caught us, and he came over and started fucking me while I fucked you?" I had no words. Just let him finish and, unsuccessfully, tried to erase it from my memory. This one guy told me he had an eye-licking fetish and I'm like, WTF. I knew one of the girls who crapped in a bucket for Chuck Berry after having sex with him. After reading these comments, I think my fetishes are absolutely normal. I had a neighbor who was an amputee below the knee. He was a really outgoing, friendly guy. He had a puppy and so did I, so we would hang out with the dogs. I noticed he had very tall, beautiful girls coming out of his place. He was like 5'9". These girls were always taller than him. One night we went out for drinks and I made a comment about how I see models coming out of his place in the morning. He says, "In my experience, tall women are more into the nubbin." I asked, "The nubbin?" He explained that he still had something like 10 inches of his tibia bone, but it was just encased in some skin and fat, etc., and that he would peg these girls with his tibia bone. Amazing. Served with these two guys unfortunately. One had a fetish for licking someone's shit. The other had a fetish, if you can call it that, for sabotaging his condoms so they failed upon orgasm. Just went to a kink party wherein a woman asked me to staple gun her in the ass. Some other guy wanted CBT. And here I was having a naked food fight in a kiddie pool, like some kind of virgin. My mom knew a guy in college who got off from having grapefruit thrown at him. Like whole, uncut, full grapefruits. She also knew someone who got turned on by getting pushed down a flight of stairs. Not really disturbing but still bizarre.